Okay, let's dive into a story that starts with a family's absolute worst nightmare. But believe me, it spirals into something so much bigger. We're talking a massive criminal investigation, a pharmaceutical company, dirty drugs, and a system that just failed at every single turn.
I want you to just listen to these words from a father, Avtar Singh. His little boy, Sarbjeet, was only 5 years old. He had a simple cold, so they gave him some cough syrup. And now, 6 years later, Sarbjeet is basically trapped inside his own body. And his family has to look at him every single day and just wonder what is going through his mind.
And here's the thing. Sarbjeet, he was one of the survivors. 16 other children were not. 16 kids dead, all after taking toxic cough syrups made by the exact same company.
And for the few who did make it through, like Sarbjeet, well, their lives are completely shattered. We're talking about 5 other kids left with devastating, permanent disabilities. Their brains, their sight, their hearing, all damaged forever.
So let's really start at the heart of all this, with the children. We just talked about Sarbjeet, 5 years old when he took that syrup. Now he's 11, living in a vegetative state with an 80% brain disability. His father had to borrow nearly 20 lakh rupees just to cover the medical bills. It's just heartbreaking.
So who is the company behind all of this? Who made these toxic medicines that destroyed so many lives?
Meet Digital Vision Pharma. And you got to appreciate the irony of their slogan, unflinching dedication to uncompromising quality standards. I mean, really. Because when you look at their actual track record, it tells a completely different and, frankly, a horrifying story. Just look at this timeline. It's a disaster in slow motion. Late 2019, early 2020, bam, 14 kids die from their cold best PC syrup. You'd think that would be it, right? No. A few months later, 2 more children die from another one of their syrups. And then the final shoe drops. 5 years later, the company gets named as a central piece in a giant drug racket.
You know, as awful as those deaths are, this wasn't just a one-off tragedy. Not even close. It was part of a long, disturbing pattern of failure after failure.
Get this. Over the last 13 years, Digital Vision and its group companies have been flagged at least 35 times. 35 times for making drugs that failed to meet basic quality standards.
And to be super clear, 23 of those warnings specifically called their drugs not of standard quality. That's official speak for this stuff is garbage. It could be useless or, even worse, flat out dangerous.
And this is the part that just blows my mind. It shows you how little accountability there was. More than 20 of these safety alerts came out after those children were already dead. So the warnings just kept piling up, and the company just kept on going.
So you have to be asking yourself, right? How on earth does a company with this kind of record just keep operating? How do they get away with it?
Well, this right here tells you everything you need to know about the system. Let's just walk through it. Who goes to jail? A local chemist who simply sold the stuff. What about the owners? Oh, they get bail to avoid arrest for a measly 50,000 rupees. The official investigation? The report was never even filed. And the kicker? The company got its manufacturing license back in just 3 months. Unbelievable.
Okay, so fast forward 5 years after the kids died. Investigators started digging, and what they found was way bigger than just carelessness or negligence. We're talking about a massive, alleged criminal conspiracy.
They discovered the company was allegedly at the center of a huge drug diversion scheme. So what does that mean? Basically, they're accused of legally making medicines and then secretly funneling them to the black market, likely for people to abuse, using a whole web of fake companies and cookbooks.
So the Narcotics Control Bureau, the NCB, they bust this whole thing. And the value of this racket? An estimated 574 crore rupees. That is a staggering amount of money. And right in the middle of it all, you guessed it, Digital Vision.
I mean, the sheer scale of this is hard to even wrap your head around. Investigators found over 3.4 million tablets, more than 1 million bottles of codeine syrup, thousands of kilos of raw ingredients. And the NCB says that more than 60% of everything they seized, they can trace it right back to Digital Vision Pharma.
So where does that leave us? Well, the company owners are now on the run. They've vanished. And the story comes right back to where it started, with the families, still waiting, still fighting for, well, for any kind of justice at all. And it's just one gut punch after another. Take Priya Verma. Her son Pranav has an 85% permanent disability. You'd think getting compensation would be straightforward, right? Wrong. The state actually fought them over a tiny payout of just 3 lakh rupees. They dragged this family all the way to the Supreme Court before they were finally forced to pay up.
And here's the absolute crucial point. While these families were grieving, while they were fighting for what amounts to pocket change, while they were dealing with the lifelong consequences, most of them thought, well, at least the company got shut down. But they were wrong. The company was allowed back in business just a few months after their kids died.
So that's where we are, and it leaves us with one final, really unsettling question. You have 16 children dead, 5 more with their lives ruined forever. The company owners have disappeared, so who is actually being held accountable for any of this?